Alright, so we back live up. Let me go ahead and get this link up on the other side to Facebook so that everybody know what time it is up there on the book. And we can go ahead and get this thing started soon as I can get them on up over there at Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so we got a good show for y'all today. We are dealing with this war in Iran, of course, as usual. Let me get off of this page. I don't know what I'm doing over here. This is where it's supposed to be. Yeah, so we're dealing with this war in Iran. Right now, Trump has a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. That is the blockade. And so what we're going to do is talk about a little bit about how that works and exactly what's going to happen with that. And of course, exactly what the ramifications is for the gas prices. But they are expected to go up, just to let people know. They are very much expected to go up over the next day or two. I'm just waiting for this link, for the live link to show up. And it's taking forever. But of course, and let's see if we can get this done. Let's see if we can get this live going for the people over there on Facebook. Get them up. I don't see it up yet. And it's just taking forever. Alright, we'll go on with it. Let's start with, I don't want those people to miss anything. So I kind of wanted to just go on. But no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient. Okay, that's just taking too long. So what we'll do is we'll move over here to get it and see if we can get it up. Yeah, it's definitely taking entirely too long. Again, shout out to everybody out there listening. Y'all make sure y'all go and buy one of those Black Economic Matters shirts while you're here, while we're waiting for this link to get up on Facebook so that I can share it. I'm going to need y'all to go and make a purchase of one of those Black Economics Matters shirts, because Black economics do matter, and that's really one of the main reasons I'm here, is so that we can all be vetted as Black people on everything that's going on, and ultimately so that we can fix some of the economic things that's going on in our community. No knock on nobody else's community or no other community, but it just seems like Black economics always takes the brunt of the hit whenever anything goes on in our community. And so I would like for that to be stopped. So of course we do what we can to combat those sorts of things, which is what we're doing here. So y'all make sure y'all got the shirt right there on the top right corner, Black Economics Matters. The link will be in the video description, right? Or sorry, in the comments, in the video comments. I cannot do that right now, of course, because we got whatever else we got going on. So I'm gonna try to get us up live, and again, it's just taking forever, and it would take forever now. But make sure you go and buy one of those shirts. It's very important. They are not going to have this Black economics conversation unless we are having it. And so we really need the visibility in Black Economics Matters. We really need the visibility so that the conversation can be had. And that really drives something for us, positive for us, and what we need in our community nowadays today. So y'all make sure y'all do that. Again, this link should be up any moment, but while we are waiting, what I'm going to do is just play the video anyway. And I just don't want those people to miss out on some of this information, because I know a lot of people aren't talking about this, but I think this was on, especially the folks on the internet who don't really watch the news much. A lot of my internet family, they're not ones to be watching the news. just to be frank. So I'm trying to make sure that they get the proper information that they need as well. This again, we're mainly going to talk about the blockade because the blockade has its own ramifications. A lot of people said, well, I'll give my thoughts now since we're waiting. This should have already been up though, so what I'm going to do is put it up myself because this is taking entirely too long. Okay, so yeah, so I'll pull it up on my own through other windows. Okay, y'all going to excuse me. I know I'm in my account and more, but this is taking way too long, and this should have already been done as far as being shared, and for whatever reason it's taken this sweet and precious time to do so, which is not the moment for this. Okay, so again, I want everybody to get the necessary information. Oh, I've been talking this whole time, y'all can't even really hear me. Oh yes, you can. Okay, so yeah, I want to make sure that we all are getting the necessary information available to us. I want to make sure of that. So again, shout out to everybody out there. Let's go ahead and make sure we got all of the audio. Yep. So yeah, I want to make sure we're getting all the information to where we need it to be before we get started. All right, finally. Do is paste this link in there. I don't even know why I had to do all of this. It should have allowed me to do it, but it's not. So now it is, of course, but that was a hassle. That was a lot. That was a lot. Again, shout out to everybody out there. This is Roe Politcal. This is a political podcast, and we do go over exactly what's needed for the black community in our own endeavors and everybody else as well. This is good information for anybody who's listening and anybody who's watching. But we are live, and again, I want to put that, make sure that that's typed in. We are live. And I know I was a little late over there for the people on Facebook, but of course y'all seen my technical difficulties here, and imagine the ones you didn't see prior to this. But it doesn't matter. Either way, we are up and live. We figured it out. Let's go ahead and jump over to this video, and so that we can get on.
The president's announced blockade is already rattling the economy. Oil prices climbing back above $100 a barrel overnight. NBC senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now. Christine, people are already pulling up to the pump and just saying how high the prices are. So are they going to stay this way until this thing gets resolved?
Oil prices surging again overnight. Remember last week the talk of a 2-week ceasefire had oil prices coming down and had gasoline prices, what you pay at the pump, leveling off. And now we're back where we started. You've got oil prices surging here again, back above $100 a barrel, and you've got gas prices over the weekend. Last night, about $4.12. The president on Fox Business said he acknowledged that gas prices could stay here elevated, or maybe even go up a little bit heading into the midterms because of what he's trying to do with Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, you're not seeing ships move through there. This is a super highway of really important commodities for the global economy. We're just not seeing the ships go through. And now you've got the failure of these talks over the weekend and the president announcing this blockade, actually, of Iranian ports. Big concerns. That means oil won't be flowing anytime soon.
I mean, it affects gas prices, shipping prices, airfare, all those things. Let's talk about the markets, though, because the markets were quite jubilant when the ceasefire was announced. Now what happens? What goes up must come down?
Right. Last week was the best week for the stock market since November. It had been very jittery and now wobbly again here this morning. The concern is they just don't know. Investors just don't know what's going to happen next. There's no real playbook for what is being attempted here in the Middle East. And it is such an important production and transport hub, not only, as you mentioned, Savannah, for oil products, but all these other things like fertilizer. We're at a point now where we're starting to see surcharges for airlines, for baggage, for delivery. Even think of the shrink wrap that goes around a head of lettuce. That's a petroleum product. Those prices are rising as well. And diesel fuel prices are much higher than even gasoline. We ship 70% of the goods inside the U.S. with diesel. That means all of those things to get from, your grocery store to your house are now more expensive. Right. So watching this space.
All right, Christine, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today
I think that this was a good move for Trump in order to get himself back into the graces. And so I know you couldn't hear me. But I think that this was a good move for Trump in order to get himself back in the graces. And just like what I was saying before, I think that at least with this whole Strait of Hormuz situation, I think that was smart for Trump to go about it this way. I think that this gave Trump a little bit of leverage that he didn't have prior. And I think that this could work out in his favor. If you're going to do it, you probably want to do this blockade thing. If you're going to go to war. Again, I'm against the war. I've said that several times. But if you are going to go to war, this is probably the best way to do it. With the blockade, now this may force Iran to the negotiating table there, but I don't perceive them just giving up their strongest tool, which is the Strait of Hormuz. I don't see them giving that up like that. It could go either way. But regardless, we do have a current blockade of the oil. The oil prices are to be kept close eye on right now. Because like Trump said, this can get a little bit worse. This could get better. Now I'm going to talk about another element with this blocking the Strait of Hormuz. With Americans going out and grabbing all of the oil out there from Venezuela, right? We know that Texas is processing the Venezuelan oil, okay? I think that this may run traffic back to America in order to see, get the oil from us. And that could have been the plot or ploy, where at least a shifted ploy is, I'm pretty sure American markets may end up blowing up, especially because we do have oil that we could provide the other nations with, Europe and whomever else. So I don't know. That's just another element to think about. Will the Strait of Hormuz being closed induce more business for Americans because we are open to our allies, even though the Strait of Hormuz is closed to our allies? So this could play out either way when you really think about it. So this is going to be real interesting moving forward, okay? And so let's get on to the next thing. I don't want to just do too much here. We'll go on to the next one.
Everyone keeps promising that regular people can now make software. But what do you usually
Do this?
80 countries signed on to the statement. It was read by Palestinian Ambassador Riyad Mansour, who, as he read it, he was flanked by more than 50 ambassadors from...
And I want y'all to understand what's going on here, so let me rewind this. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda for us to discuss is 80 countries came out to condemn Israel, mainly for the new activity in Lebanon, right? And for the things that's gone on with the Palestinians. We know that they're probably increasing any form of whatever they call it, military action in Palestine and in Gaza. I call it Palestine, y'all call it Gaza, whatever. I believe they're increasing action over there, as well as continuing with the ceasefire set to happen tomorrow in DC. They're still shooting bombs at Lebanon all the way up until the final moment. That's just not a good look. So a lot of countries have come out and condemned. There's been 3,000 people killed in Lebanon as a result of this war by Israel. Americans are doing nothing in Lebanon at all. So this is all Israel who's going over there and blasting those people away the way that they are, which is wrong. So that's one thing why the countries are coming to condemn Israel, and I agree with it. I do agree with it. I think that they're just doing too much. They're going too far. So I think you have to step in at this point. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let the report happen. Let the report tells you a little more information, and then I'll give my thoughts afterwards.
80 countries signed on to the statement. It was read by Palestinian Ambassador Riyad Mansour, who, as he read it, he was flanked by more than 50 ambassadors from all parts of the world.
We strongly condemn unilateral Israeli decisions and measures aimed at expanding Israel's unlawful presence in the West Bank. Such decisions are contrary to Israel's obligations under international law and must be immediately reversed. We underline in this regard our strong opposition to any form of annexation. We reiterate our rejection of all measures aimed at altering the demographic composition, character, and status of the Palestinian territory occupied since 1967, including East Jerusalem.
On Wednesday, the Security Council will hold its monthly meeting on the Middle East, where much of the focus is expected to be on Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Gabriel Elizondo, Al Jazeera at the United Nations in New York.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to our...
Okay, so that was done by... Okay, so that was done by Al Jazeera. And so basically in a nutshell, they are condemning. They are condemning not only Israel, specifically what they said is we condemn any attempt to change the demographic of Palestine. And that's basically what Israel wants to do, is take over Palestine and eliminate, ethnic cleansing and all. I mean, Israel said this themselves. This ain't me putting it on them. They come out and said it themselves that they wanted to ethnically cleanse Gaza, which means kill the white people. I would assume depopulation or some sort of sinister thing like that. That's just my assumption of what that means, because that's normally what it's meant throughout history, whitewashing. And you normally whitewash through prisons, death, and disease. So that's what I expect out of them. And right now, the other countries are not having it. Or they may be having it, but they're telling us that they're condemning it and they're not having it. Now, how far they're willing to go with this, who knows? Okay, but it's 80 countries. I know Israel and the United States by ourselves can't be 80 countries. Period. So something got to give, and how serious are these countries with really putting a stop to whatever it is they're condemning? That is the ultimate question. So without that, with being said, we're going to go on to the next thing. Those are pretty much my thoughts. The next subject is Lebanon. This Lebanese ceasefire happening in Washington, D.C. is historic. In many ways, this is they're going to reevaluate the 1983 treaty. And try to see if they can make it better and modernize, okay? Again, I just said Israel is still shooting bombs at Lebanon as we speak. And the ceasefire meeting is tomorrow. I'm not sure how that's going to blow over when they get into that meeting tomorrow. Who knows? But I expect a total S show, to be honest. I don't expect this to go well. I don't expect this to go smooth. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and let the news say whatever it's going to say, and then I'll give my thoughts afterwards as to what this is and what's going on.
Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari.
Basically an infomercial. So what I'll do is just talk. And it says direct messages between Israel and Lebanon are expected to begin next week in Washington, D.C., according to the Associated Press. So that's basically what I was saying to y'all, is they basically are going to revisit the 1983 treaty, try to modernize it, try to make it better, try to make it to what it should be. And I do agree with that. I do think that that's exactly what they should be doing at this point. But I don't know how it's going to blow over with you still shooting bombs at Lebanon the day before the ceasefire agreement. Again, that's what Israel pretty much, the stance Israel has had the whole time, that they will not stop bombing or relinquish any progress, what they call progress. They won't relinquish it unless it is a ceasefire. So and Lebanon essentially said they wasn't going to negotiate prior to the bombing stopping. So I mean, obviously the Lebanese government has bent a little bit, but hopefully that will induce some sort of stoppage of the killing. That's my motive, or my understanding of what should be done. Okay, so moving right along, J.D. Vance could not reach a deal when he went out into the Middle East about this ceasefire regarding the Americans and Israelis. There was absolutely no progress made there, and so JD tried though. He went out there, he tried to get it done, he couldn't. So what we'll do is go into that next report as to what exactly happened.
A major headline. Nuclear talks with Iran are not going as planned. Vice President J.D. Vance and a team of senior envoys left Pakistan yesterday without a deal after face-to-face talks with Iranian leaders stalled over key issues. That included Iran's control over a critical shipping route and its ongoing conflict with Israel. Shauna Mizell has the latest.
Vice President J.D. Vance headed back to the U.S. this morning after failing to reach a deal in the war against Iran.
We've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement.
Vance, along with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, spent more than 20 hours in face-to-face negotiations in Islamabad, Pakistan, hoping to reach a deal to further advance last week's ceasefire.
We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Vance says throughout the negotiations, he consistently checked in with President Trump, who spent his Saturday evening at a UFC fight as the peace talks broke down.
We defeated their Navy, we defeated their Air Force, we defeated their anti-aircraft, we defeated their radar, we defeated their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the Strait.
In addition to the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's nuclear capabilities were a major sticking point during the negotiations. And with no deal in sight, Iran and Israel have continued fighting in Lebanon. But speaking Saturday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he wants a true peace pact with the country.
The U.S. is also working to clear the Strait of Hormuz. According to U.S. Central Command, 2 U.S. Navy destroyer ships conducted operations in the strait on Saturday, beginning efforts to clear mines from the water.
So as in the report, let me get my mic back on. All right, so as in the report, that was interesting. J.D. Vance definitely didn't get the deal done, but after not getting the deal done, the Navy began to clearing this destroyer clearing things, the mines out of the Strait of Hormuz. So they began working on the Strait of Hormuz directly after those negotiations with J.D. Vance. So that's very interesting to know that. So they've been out there virtually about 2 days now, since Saturday, trying to work, trying to get the Strait of Hormuz open. It's not. So they've done the Navy blockade. And again, my fear is the oil prices with all of this, because now you're talking about more oil being taken out of the system. Essentially, whatever 40 ships that was getting through there, now those are not even getting through there. So you're essentially taking more oil out of the system, and who knows what that's going to do to customers who desperately need this oil. So that out of everything, that is pretty much my concern, is what happens with the oil, and exactly what happens with the prices now that we are virtually getting nothing from the Strait of Hormuz, or whatever we were getting is going to be highly restricted. So that's one of my questions there. All right, moving right along. Last but not least, does America need to end their alliance with Israel is the question. Now, I'll let this young lady discuss what she has on the board, and then I'll come back afterwards and give a few comments as to what my stance is.
Americans breaking up with Israel? Some evidence points to yes. Listen to what these people on the right have been saying lately.
Everybody sucks up to Israel in this way that suggests they're afraid.
Israel has made itself the villain of the world.
America first, not Israel first. Hey guys, I'm Dina, and I want you to take note of an important shift happening in the U.S. right now and what it could mean. Support for Israel has plummeted since the start of the genocide in Gaza. I want you to take note of an important shift happening in the U.S. right now and what it could mean. Support for Israel has plummeted since the start of the genocide in Gaza across the political spectrum and all ages. More Americans now say they sympathize with Palestinians over Israelis. And one poll showed a majority of MAGA Republicans now support putting conditions on U.S. aid to Israel. This is big because for decades, Israel has relied on the unconditional support of the U.S. Israel gets close to $4 billion a year in U.S. military aid, and they've gotten billions more on top of that since the Gaza genocide began. And that genocide, along with the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, has changed the political climate.
Americans have seen on their phones every day the absolute unrestrained cruelty of the Israeli government, the decimation of Palestinian families and communities. And now we're watching every day Israel taking those atrocities up to Lebanon, to Iran. These are now the scenes that Americans associate with the state of Israel.
That's Simone Zimmerman, a Jewish writer and activist who told me how this shift in opinion has impacted America's political class.
I think absolutely support for Israel has become a political liability. I would say the consequences of criticizing Israel used to be you would have a massive smear campaign against you in the media. You might get called anti-Semitic. You might get called a terrorist supporter. Everything I'm describing, of course, are also things that are continuing to exist today. The difference now is that people aren't buying it anymore.
The progressive flank of the Democratic Party has long demanded the party dial back its support for Israel. But here's what's changed. Some centrist...
I'm going to stop that right there. The Democratic Party has not wanted to stop support for Israel because Biden was the president and he clearly wasn't going to dial back support for Israel. He absolutely did not do that. So that's a lie. And so I want to stop that there, right? Republicans are the same thing. They have full support for Israel. They've always had full support for Israel, okay? So let's stop that one there. I don't know why she said that. That is full of it. No. Democrats are only asking a pullback because of Trump. They want to beat Trump at anything. They don't care what it is. So that's the plight of the Democrats on that side. So that there is no wanting to ceasefire or whatever it is that they're claiming they're doing. They're not doing that. Okay. So let's get that out of our heads. Now, as far as the support for Israel, it's waning. I never supported it because I think it's silly, right? And I'm not sure Netanyahu is the person that you want to be following behind. He has a horrible track record. Horrible track record. So I'm not for anything Israel. I think we should definitely end the alliance, not even a little bit, a lot. I think even with their companies, all their companies that own things in America, I think we need to start weaning them out of our government. That's my personal opinion. It is a liability. Israel is a liability at this point. for Americans and American taxpayers more than anything. And we don't want to take care of a whole nother country, which essentially that's what we've been doing. We don't want to do that anymore. Okay? So the support for Israel is zero, especially in the black community at least. We don't support it at all. Okay? At all. Not even a little bit. So, I think that's more goes to be said more than anything. Right? So, again, not going to hold you guys too much. Again, we have a lot to dive into throughout the week. I'm going to bring this to you every day. It is going to be much better tomorrow, though. It's going to be much better tomorrow, much cleaner tomorrow. Again, not going to hold you guys. I want to make sure that I get my theme song up because I didn't give it to you in the beginning, so I might as well give it to you late, right? That's only fair. Which I'm probably not going to be able to do is looking like for right now, but it's all good. We'll come back stronger tomorrow, come back better tomorrow, as we always do. Again, shout out to everybody out there listening. In the comments, right? It's going to be several things in the comments. For sure, those shirts, Black Economics Matters. If you're on Facebook looking at this, you can go to my cover pic. Just tap on the cover pic. It's the link is in the comments on the cover pic, or in the caption on the cover pic. On this YouTube, I'm going to put it in the caption. Put the link in the captions as soon as I'm off air, so that you guys can get it. Black Economics Matter. We have to put these shirts on. We have to wear these shirts. We have to make sure that we're prevalent in our own, that we speak up for our own, and that we do for our own. And part of it is, hey, I got to be outward with it, right? Same way you wore the Black Lives Matter shirts, you should wear the Black Economics Matter shirts. It is no different. In fact, the Black Economics might be a little bit more important. Of course, Black Lives Matter, that's important, but Black economics is preventative measures for the Black lives. This is before you get to the Black lives. If you got the economics right, you got to get the books right. And that's basically what this says. Get your books right. So whatever we got to do as a Black community, we want to clean that up, and we want to be vocal about that happening. So I want to make sure that you guys are all the way in when it comes to that. Get your shirts and wear them. Not just get them and wear them, right? Get them and wear them publicly. Have those conversations, those tough conversations, even in your household when it comes to economics and how we could do better as a community in regards to economics. See y'all later. I'm out here for Roe Political.